The conference room was too quiet for a Monday morning. Amelia's resume sat untouched in front of the hiring manager, who leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, eyes distant. She'd been talking for 15 minutes straight. Passion, ideas, growth strategies. But something was off. He hadn't asked a single follow-up question. "I think that's all I need, thank you," he said finally, sliding the paper back toward her like it was something toxic. Amelia froze, her hands cold against her lap. She managed a stiff smile. "Thanks for the opportunity." As she walked out, her heels echoing down the polished hallway of the sleek Chicago high-rise, her stomach clenched. She already knew. Third interview this month. Third time leaving with the same pit in her chest. Her reflection in the elevator door looked calm, composed, but her thoughts were screaming. How did it get to this? Just a year ago, she was climbing fast. Promotions, recognition, even whispers of leadership potential. Then the layoffs came. Not performance-related, they said. Just bad timing. "You're talented, Amelia. This isn't personal." But everything since had felt personal. She stepped out onto Michigan Avenue, wind slicing across the street, and pulled her coat tighter. Her phone buzzed. A message from her father again. "Any news today? Don't give up. Remember what Hill says. Your only limitation is the one you set up in your own mind." She loved him for trying, but those words, they felt hollow right now. Success wasn't showing up no matter how much she believed. At a nearby coffee shop, she found a seat by the window and ordered the cheapest thing on the menu. Her savings were bleeding, and pride had kept her from moving back home to Cincinnati. She looked outside, watching strangers rush past, earbuds in, coats flapping in the February wind. Everyone looked like they were going somewhere. "Excuse me," a voice interrupted. "Is this seat taken?" She looked up. A man in his late 50s, blazer slightly frayed at the sleeves, holding a coffee and a notebook. "No, go ahead," she said. He sat, scribbled something, then paused. "Rough day?" She blinked. "That obvious?" He nodded toward her empty stare. "I've worn that look. For me, it came after losing my business. Twice." She managed a weak laugh. "I'm on my way to that." He looked at her seriously. "Can I give you a piece of advice?" She nodded, mostly because she had nothing to lose. "You're looking for success like it's a destination. Stop. Start building the person success wants to find." She raised an eyebrow. "I read Napoleon Hill in prison," he added. "Changed everything." And just like that, Amelia's world cracked open, not from hope, but curiosity. For the first time in weeks, she wasn't thinking about the job she didn't get, but about who she was becoming. He introduced himself as Frank. No last name, no explanation, just Frank. They sat in silence for a moment, the coffee shop humming around them. Steam rose from his cup, curling into the late morning light. Amelia didn't speak, afraid that if she opened her mouth, all the frustration she'd been swallowing would come spilling out. Frank flipped open his notebook, its pages thick with scribbles, highlights, and coffee stains. "Every morning," he said, tapping the paper, "I write 3 things. What I'm grateful for, what I'm afraid of, and one action I can take anyway." Amelia stared, unsure whether to be inspired or unsettled. "You said you read Hill?" she asked. Frank nodded. "When I had nothing else, I was 45, divorced, bankrupt, and locked up for mail fraud. My cellmate gave me Think and Grow Rich. Said it was the only book that ever got him to believe in himself." Amelia's instinct was skepticism, but the way Frank spoke, not like a preacher, but like someone still rebuilding from the ground up, made her pause. "What did it actually change for you?" He smiled. "It changed the question. Before I was asking, why don't I have what I want? After Hill, I asked, who do I need to become to attract what I want? One keeps you stuck, the other moves you." Amelia looked out the window, the words echoing louder than she expected. "Who do I need to become?" Frank slid the notebook toward her. "Write it down. One fear. One thing you're avoiding." She hesitated, then took the pen. "Fear that I'm not good enough. Avoiding calling Sarah back. Sarah had been her mentor, her biggest champion. She'd called 3 times in the past month, but Amelia hadn't answered. Pride? Shame? She wasn't even sure anymore. "Now," Frank said, "what's one thing you can do today that moves you toward the person who doesn't run from that call?" The page stayed blank longer than she liked. Finally, she wrote, "Call her and be honest." Frank smiled, satisfied. "There, that's it. You don't need to do everything today. Just don't abandon yourself." She handed the notebook back. "What do you get out of this? Helping strangers?" Frank stood, slipping the notebook into his coat pocket. "Every time I help someone remember who they are, I remember who I'm trying to become." He left without another word. Amelia sat still, staring at the now empty seat across from her. She pulled out her phone, stared at Sarah's name for a long moment, then pressed call. It rang once, twice. "Amelia?" Her throat tightened. "Yeah. Hey. I'm sorry I've been disappearing." Sarah's voice softened. "I was starting to worry. What's going on?" Amelia looked down at her reflection in the coffee lid, a tear sliding silently onto the sleeve of her coat. "I think I forgot who I was supposed to become." Sarah didn't fill the silence. She waited, the way only someone who truly knew you would. Amelia let out a shaky breath. "I've been interviewing a lot. But I walk into those rooms and feel like I'm shrinking, like I'm pretending to be someone I'm not." "Maybe," Sarah said gently, "you're trying too hard to prove something instead of just showing up as yourself." That sentence landed like a punch. "I thought I had to prove something," Amelia admitted. "Otherwise, why would they choose me?" "Let me ask you something," Sarah said. "Do you know the difference between confidence and arrogance?" Amelia shook her head, then realized Sarah couldn't see her. "No. Arrogance is loud and desperate. Confidence is quiet and honest. You can't fake the second one. People feel it." Amelia swallowed. "I don't feel confident." "Then stop trying to fake it. Start trying to earn it again." It wasn't the pep talk she expected, but it was exactly what she needed. She thanked Sarah and promised to keep in touch. When she hung up, something inside her clicked. Not motivation exactly, more like permission. To stop performing, to begin rebuilding. She didn't go home. Instead, she took the train to the Harold Washington Library downtown. The same place she'd spent hours as a student, hungry, broke, but alive with ideas. It smelled the same, dust, books, and quiet ambition. She found a corner, opened her laptop, and pulled up her resume. Then she deleted it. Every line, gone. She started over, not just with what she'd done, but who she had become doing it. The story wasn't about job titles anymore. It was about growth, grit, moments where she led without a title or learned from falling flat on her face. For the first time, the words felt true. Hours passed. She barely noticed. Outside, the sky dimmed. The buzz of traffic began to rise again. She didn't care. Her fingers moved with clarity she hadn't felt in months. And in the back of her mind, Frank's voice lingered. Start building the person success wants to find. Before she packed up, she scribbled a note in her own notebook. April 2nd. Fear that I've already peaked. Action. Tell my story without apology. As she exited the library into the golden haze of late afternoon, her phone buzzed. An email. Subject. Let's talk. Loved your perspective. A recruiter. She didn't get excited. Not yet. That wasn't the point anymore. But for the first time, Amelia didn't feel like someone searching for a life. She felt like someone becoming the kind of woman who could build one. The video call started on time. Amelia's face appeared on the screen just moments before the recruiters, a woman named Lena with short curls and warm eyes, calling from a sunlit office somewhere in Austin. "Hi, Amelia," she said, smiling easily. "Thanks for being flexible. I know job hunting isn't always fun." Amelia let out a soft laugh. "It's definitely a character-building experience." Lena grinned. "That's one way to put it. Listen, before we jump in, I want to be honest. We've already moved forward with another candidate for this particular role, but your application stood out." Amelia blinked. "Oh, yeah. I don't usually reach out in cases like this. but there was something about your tone, the way you described learning from failure, your focus on personal growth. It didn't read like copy-paste corporate language. It read like a person. Amelia wasn't sure what to say. No one had ever complimented her for being herself on a resume. "I wanted to meet you," Lena continued, "because I think there's a fit here. Maybe not today, maybe not for this team, but your mindset, that's the kind of thing we look for long term." Amelia felt something tighten in her chest. It wasn't disappointment. It was something else, dignity. "I appreciate that," she said. "Honestly, just hearing that gives me more direction than I've had in weeks." Lena nodded. "Can I ask you something off the record?" "Sure." "What changed recently? Your older LinkedIn posts, the version of your resume from last fall, it all felt a little polished. But this new version, it feels lived in." Amelia smiled softly. "I stopped writing like someone desperate to be chosen. I started writing like someone who's been through something and learned." Lena paused, visibly impressed. "Well, that'll serve you better than any title ever could." They talked for another 15 minutes, not about roles or timelines, but about values, what it meant to lead without authority, how failure makes some people bitter and others better. Before hanging up, Lena said, "Let's stay in touch. And if you ever decide to write about your journey, I think a lot of people would benefit from it." When the call ended, Amelia didn't feel rejected. She felt seen. She closed her laptop and stared out the window. The sun was low, casting orange light across the skyline. Everything looked the same, but inside something had shifted. She wasn't waiting for permission anymore. That evening, she created a new document, titled, "Become the Person Who Attracts Success, Notes to Myself." Not a blog, not a book, just a place to tell the truth. Entry 1. You are not here to impress. You are here to grow. That night, for the first time in months, she slept without grinding her teeth. And when she woke up the next morning, she didn't check her inbox first. She opened her notebook. The email subject line read, "From someone who remembers your first speech." Amelia almost deleted it, thinking it was spam. But curiosity won. Inside, a short note. "Hey Amelia, you probably don't remember me. My name's Darren, and I was in the audience back in 2017 when you spoke at that campus entrepreneurship panel. You talked about failure and building resilience. I was a sophomore, completely lost, and your words honestly stayed with me. I found you again on LinkedIn last week and just wanted to say thank you. I work in product design now. Things are good. You made an impact, and I thought you deserved to know." Amelia sat back in her chair, stunned. That talk had felt like a blur, a favor to a friend, a way to tick a box on her own resume. She hadn't thought much about it afterward, certainly not enough to believe it had changed someone's path. She reread the message. Not a job offer, not a lead, just proof that being real mattered. Her heart ached, not in pain, but in the kind of quiet fullness that shows up when you realize you've been doing more good than you knew. She replied, "Darren, I do remember that panel. I nearly didn't go. Thought I had nothing to say that would matter. Your message came at the right time. Thank you, truly. Keep going." Amelia. After sending it, she stared at the blinking cursor in her Notes to Myself document. Then she typed, "Entry 2. You don't always get to see your impact, but that doesn't mean it wasn't real." Later that day, Sarah called again, not to check in, but to offer something. "I've been thinking," she said. "Our team's expanding. It's not glamorous. Operations support, lots of process work. But it's honest, strategic, and I'd vouch for you." Amelia didn't say yes right away. "Take a day," Sarah added. "I'm offering this because I believe in you, not because I feel sorry for you." That mattered. Amelia walked to the lakefront that evening, wind rough against her face. Runners passed by. Kids kicked a soccer ball on the grass, yelling in 3 different languages. She watched the water. She didn't have all the answers, still had bills, doubts, and a shaky sense of direction. But for the first time, she wasn't trying to rebuild her old life. She was building something truer. She opened her notebook. Fear. That this step is too small. Action. Say yes anyway, because growth doesn't need applause. She texted Sarah, "I'm in. Let's build something from the inside." And for once, her decision didn't come from fear. It came from clarity. The first week at the new job felt like being dropped into the deep end. Spreadsheets, workflows, team handovers, nothing glamorous, just necessary. And yet, Amelia felt grounded. There was no title to impress anyone, no spotlight, just work. Clear, honest work. Sarah gave her space to figure things out, but checked in often. "You don't have to prove anything here," she said on Amelia's second day. "Just contribute, grow, be curious." Amelia had forgotten what that felt like, being trusted without condition. Most of the team was younger, bright, fast, still finding their voices. One of them, Lena, a recent graduate, approached Amelia at lunch. "Hey," she said shyly. "I've been meaning to ask, how did you stay so calm during that call yesterday? I was freaking out." Amelia smiled. "Oh, I was freaking out too. I've just had more practice hiding it." Lena laughed but didn't walk away. "Do you like this work?" Amelia thought about it. "I like what it's teaching me," she answered. "And I like who I'm becoming because of it." That wasn't the kind of thing she would have said a year ago, but now it felt like truth. By the end of the week, she had organized 2 chaotic workflows, clarified a communication chain that had been stalling decisions, and helped a frustrated intern rewrite a presentation that ended up impressing the director. None of it made headlines, but it felt like progress. On Friday afternoon, Sarah stopped by her desk. "I noticed what you did with the supply chain doc. That used to take 3 days. You got it down to half a day." Amelia shrugged. "Just saw a few redundancies. Wasn't a big deal." Sarah tilted her head. "It is a big deal. You're not just doing tasks, you're making the whole system breathe better." Amelia looked down at her notes, suddenly shy. She was used to being either ignored or overwhelmed with expectations. This quiet acknowledgement, it felt unfamiliar and powerful. That night, she opened her notebook again. Entry 3. Success doesn't feel like fireworks. It feels like momentum. And then, fear, that I'm invisible in the big picture. Action. Keep showing up like I matter, because I do. The next morning, a new message appeared in her inbox. Subject line, "Speaking opportunity, Internal Women's Leadership Panel." Sarah had nominated her. Amelia hesitated. Her instinct was to say she wasn't ready, that she hadn't arrived yet. But maybe, just maybe, she didn't need to arrive. Maybe she just needed to stand up, as she was, mid-journey, unfinished, real. She replied, "Yes, I'd be honored." And she meant it. The conference room was nothing like the ones she used to walk into, desperate to be chosen. It wasn't grand. Just a circle of chairs, a few potted plants, and a group of women from different departments sipping coffee, waiting for the panel to begin. Amelia stood off to the side, palms slightly damp. Her name tag read, "Amelia Watkins, Operations Support." No fancy title, no spotlight, but this time she wasn't shrinking. Sarah opened the event with a short welcome. Then it was time. Amelia took her seat alongside 2 other women, one from finance, one from logistics, both sharp, both experienced. The moderator smiled at her. "Amelia, you're newer to the company, but your name came up more than once when we asked for rising voices. What's been your biggest personal breakthrough this year?" Amelia didn't prepare a script, just a breath. "I stopped chasing the version of success that looks good on paper," she said, "and started focusing on becoming someone I actually respect." A few heads nodded. Some smiled, gently. "I used to think success was about landing a certain title or paycheck. But then I lost everything. My job, my confidence, even the rhythm of my days. And I realized what I had built was fragile. Because I was fragile." She paused. "Now I measure success by different things. Did I act with integrity? Did I help someone today? Am I learning, growing, even when no one's watching?" Silence. but not the awkward kind, the listening kind. She continued, voice steady. Napoleon Hill wrote that we must become the person who attracts success. I used to think that meant becoming impressive. Now I know it means becoming whole. When she finished, the moderator thanked her. The panel continued, others shared, laughed, reflected. But Amelia felt something settle in her chest, a calmness she hadn't known she'd been missing. Afterward, Lena approached her, eyes wide. That was real. I needed to hear that. Amelia smiled. We all need reminders. Even me. As she packed her things, she noticed a small card in her bag. It wasn't there before. She unfolded it. You're not just becoming the person who attracts success. You already are her. Frank. Her throat tightened. Somehow he knew she'd need one more nudge. That evening she sat at her kitchen table, the city humming quietly outside her window. She opened her notebook. Final entry. Success didn't find me. I became someone it could recognize. She closed the cover not as an ending, but as a promise. There would be more chapters, different risks, bigger fears, but now she knew how to face them, not by chasing approval, by becoming.